Good morning. We'll just give folks a moment to come in from the waiting room. And as a reminder, when you are entering from the waiting room, please do remain on mute unless or until you are appearing or testifying before the board. Good morning. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. And once again, as a reminder, please do remain on mute unless or until you are appearing or testifying before the board. Thank you. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman Kathleen Joyce.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm chair of the Boston Licensing Board, and today I'm joined by Commissioner Liam Curran and Commissioner Kiana Saxon.
Thank you. Please ensure that your audio and visuals are working properly. I will call each item in the order that it appears on this morning's agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the licensee, who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department, and whether there are any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify. I will then swear in all parties, after which the police report will be read into the record. The licensee or the representative will have the opportunity to make a brief statement, followed by questions by the chair and commissioners. Once again, all testimony will be limited only to those with firsthand personal knowledge of the alleged incident. Begin with item number 1 on this morning's agenda, calling Ristorante Cesaria Inc., located at 266 Bowden Street in Dorchester. Date of the incident, April 29th, 2022. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee? Thank you. Could you please identify yourself?
Oh, shit, sorry.
Excuse me, once again, who is present on behalf of the licensee? Oh, you're on.
Officer Moran.
Thank you, Officer Moran. I'll get to you in just a moment for Boston Police, but who is present on behalf of Ristorante Cesaria?
Tony B is on mute.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Sorry. This is Antonio Barros, co-owner of Restaurant Cesaria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barros. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective Terrence Burke with the Boston Police Department.
Thank you, Detective Burke. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Officer Moran with the Boston Police Department.
Great. Thank you very much. Can you all please?
Sergeant Riley, the Boston Police Department.
And Sergeant Riley. Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Detective Burke, will you be reading the police report into the record?
Yes, sir, I can. Just
Yep, you can proceed.
Okay.
Thank you.
just so note that I was not present that night. I was just assigned the case for follow-up. But I have the report right here. I will read it in. I apologize. It's going to be a long report. And this is verbatim. At about 01:04 a.m. on Friday, April 4th, April 29th, 2022, Officers Moran and Mahangos, while in the Harry 102 Alpha, which is a two-man unit assigned to C11, made an on-site arrest of a person with a firearm at 266 Bowden Street, Dorchester, Massachusetts. Also responding were multiple Boston Police District units from C11, B2, B3, and K9 units. Boston Police became aware of the potential for an altercation to occur at Restaurant Cesaria. As a result, several units responded to the location. Officers were patrolling the area of Bowden Street near Restaurant Cesaria and made the decision to park Boston Police marked cruiser number 1538 on Draper Street facing the restaurant. Draper and Bowden run perpendicular. Officers observed a black male wearing a white t-shirt, very agitated and screaming on his cell phone, asking, quote, "Where you at? Where you at?" End quote. Officers followed the male into the side parking lot of the restaurant. Officer Mahagnos exited the cruiser to investigate where the unknown male was heading to. Officer Moran activated the cruiser's floodlights, which is the white lights on top of the cruiser that illuminate areas, to light up a dark parking lot. Many patrons began to exit the rear of the restaurant, where another unknown black male, also wearing a white t-shirt, began to argue with the other male. Officer Moran broadcasted over his radio of a potential fight about to break out. Officer Mahagnos separated the parties, and one of the unknown males reached over Officer Mahagnos and struck the male with a punch in the face. Officer Moran then alerted over his radio that a fight had broken out in the rear parking lot. Officer Moran observed a tall, skinny, black male in a red and blue, quote, puffy jacket, later identified as the suspect, Mr. Raul Lopes, standing with a group of unknown males alongside Massachusetts registration 9 Charlie Foxtrot 686, that was currently being occupied by the owner, Miss Marella Samito, in the driver's seat, and with a Miss Trevea Brown in the front passenger seat. Officer Moran observed the suspect, Mr. Raul Lopes, looking around, observing the fight, and people in his rear area then reached. He then reached into the aforementioned motor vehicle to grab an unknown object. Officer Moran was actively using his flashlight to illuminate the suspect. The suspect was standing on the driver's side door of the vehicle with his right hand concealed in the vehicle as if he was hiding something. Officer Moran positioned himself the left rear of the vehicle, illuminating the vehicle with his flashlight through the rear window, trying to see what the suspect was concealing. Officer Moran then observed the suspect move his right hand into the vehicle, and Officer Moran, in plain view, observed the black firearm in the suspect's right hand and the barrel of the firearm pointing in the direction of Officer Moran. And then the suspect dropped the firearm into the rear passenger area of the vehicle. It should be noted, due to the officer's training and experience, it was clearly identified to be a black firearm actively in the suspect's hand. Officer Moran's body camera captures the suspect with the black object in his hand. Due to the officer's body camera's position, you may only see part of the firearm. Officer Moran immediately notified the Boston Police Channel 6 dispatcher, quote, 269, which is a colloquial reference to someone with a firearm, according to Mass General Law. Officer Moran did not intentionally notify verbally out loud to the parties in the presence of a firearm due to the active fight that was taking place behind him, and to not alert the suspect that Officer Moran had observed Mr. Lopes with the firearm. Officer Moran then watched the suspect move away from the vehicle, where he approached the driver and initiated a lawful exit order. Officer Moran pursued to secure the firearm and not the suspect due to the large crowd gathering in the parking lot, and for the potential occupants in the vehicle to gain access to the firearm. The driver, Miss Marella Samito, was initially non-compliant with the Officer Moran's order, eventually complied and exited the vehicle. Officer Moran then observed the black firearm in the rear floorboard area, same direction pointed towards the rear of the vehicle, where Officer Moran last observed the firearm in the suspect's hand. The firearm was later identified as a Taurus brand PT-3 G2 9mm firearm, 1 round in the chamber, 11 rounds in the magazine, for a total of 12 rounds. Officer Moran then alerted officers on scene that the suspect who had the firearm was the male in the red and blue puffy jacket, aforementioned Mr. Raul Lopes. Officer Keown and Kelly and Officer Centillo quickly identified the suspect, placed the suspect into custody, preventing an escape. Officer Moran and Keown spoke with the driver of the vehicle, who stated that she does not know who the suspect is, and stated the suspect told her, quote, hold this, quote, 3 times. The driver of the vehicle tried to close the driver's side door, and the suspect stated, quote, "Don't close the door, step out of the vehicle," end quote. Officer Moran Santillo demanded to see the suspect's license to carry a firearm, and the suspect stated, quote, "No, I don't have a firearms license," end quote. Officer Moran read the suspect his Miranda rights, to which he understood from, Officer Moran read it from his Boston Police Academy rights card, to which the suspect replied that he understood. The suspect was then transported to Area C, District 11 for lawful booking. The owner of the vehicle was cooperative with the officers and consented to the officer's body-worn camera. That officers had permission to search, consented on the officer's body-worn camera. That the officers had permission to search the rest of her vehicle. The Area C District 11 Patrol Supervisor, Sergeant Eric Murner, arrived on scene shortly after officers Moran and Mahagos called off the radio at a restaurant in this area and took pictures of the scene and processed the firearm. This is Sergeant Murner taking possession of the firearm and transported it back to C11. The two occupants of the vehicle were allowed to leave the scene with their motor vehicle. The suspect, Mr. Raul Lopes, was charged with the following: Mass General Law, Section 10, small a, carrying a firearm without a license; 269, Section 10, small h, possession of a firearm without an FID card; 269, Section 10, small n, carrying a loaded firearm; 269, Section 10M, as in Mike, possession of a large capacity feeding device. Restaurant Cesarea was also given a what we refer to as a code 35 or a licensed premise citation, numbers 061-052 for the patron on patron assault. This was issued by Sergeant Riley, who was also on scene. Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, Assistant District Attorney Caitlin Fitzgerald was notified of the arrest. The firearm was seized as evidence. The firearm was logged into the Area C District 11 respective seized firearms evidence book. Officer Mahagnos, book number 2, page 46. The firearm was secured by the C11 duty supervisor in the property locker. Officer Moran's body-worn camera was active throughout the incident. Officer Mahagnos' body-worn camera was not activated due to his quick response of the fight that took place, and was unsafe for him to take his hands off the male party while he was engaged in the fight, who was actively trying to strike the other black male. Officer Keown's body-worn camera captures the suspect making movements that he is placing an item into the rear of the vehicle. That ends the initial report, sir.
Thank you very much, Detective. I'll now ask Mr. Barros, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to state that I was not at the scene that night. My manager was on duty. And I just wanted to commend the officers for doing a great job preventing escalation of the incident. The incident took place at the city parking lot, municipal parking lot, and unfortunate incident beyond our control. Just like to say that we are continuing to make sure when our patrons leave the restaurant that they immediately get in their vehicles and leave the area. I'd just like to say our clients continue to respect the restaurant, and that's it.
Thank you. Chairman Joyce, do you have any questions for the licensee?
Sorry, I don't know if it's for the detective or for Officer Moran or for Mr. Barros, but who called the police?
Ma'am, this is Detective Terrence Burke with the Boston Police Department. Again, I was not on scene, was not called to the scene that night. It was after my shift had ended. I believe, as the officers stated in the report, the Boston Police became aware of a potential for an altercation to occur at restaurants in this area. And as a result, several units responded. There was a two officer unit directly across the street on Draper, which runs perpendicular to Bowden Street, which is directly across from the restaurant.
Okay,
So they may have been on scene, saw an altercation start to happen, and then proceed into the municipal parking lot adjacent into the rear of the restaurant.
okay, so can someone describe for me where this municipal parking lot, you're saying it's adjacent to the restaurant? Does the back
Adjacent
door,
into the rear, yes, ma'am.
does the back door of the restaurant open up right into this parking lot?
No, back door opens up to our own parking lot, and then when you go through the restaurant in the rear, you end up through a gate there. You end up in the municipal parking lot on the side of the building. It's 2 doors down from our restaurant. There's another restaurant between ours and the parking lot.
Okay, Mr. Barros, I know you weren't there on the night of this incident, but your manager was. Did you speak with him after this incident occurred?
Yes, we were all. They were all at the restaurant, inside the restaurant, preparing to just close the night as they usually did. They were aware afterwards, after they saw the lights, police lights, that there was an incident taking place on the parking lot.
Did anything happen inside leading up to this incident in the parking lot?
No, sorry.
Nothing happened inside?
It
You
was just
stated that you work to make sure your patrons leave safely. Can you describe to me what that security plan is like? How many security you have at this time of night out by that door that leads to the parking lot?
we have 2 doors that exit, one in the front to Bowden Street, and one that if people park in the parking lot, they leave through the back. We just make sure people get in their cars and don't hang out talking to each other, and make sure they don't turn on the music in the cars, to respect our neighbors, and
Okay,
Just
so do you have
area.
staff at this back door?
we have staff both doors. Yes,
How many staff do you have at the back door?
usually 2 and back and 2 in the front.
And what do they do to make sure patrons leave safely?
Tell them to please get in their cars and not hang out talking to each other, as they sometimes tend to do, just conversing, and just prevent anything from happening. And they always comply.
And so you had 4 door people working that night.
Yes.
Okay, I may have other questions, but I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Curran and then Commissioner Saxon.
Officer Moran,
Yes, sir.
were you just in the area and happened, the way I'm reading it is you happen to see the first male, and he draws your attention because he's yelling and screaming, right?
Yeah, so as detective stated to the third line of my report, so we had intel from inside the restaurant that something was going to happen. So that's why we staged our cruiser there and was just observing what the patrons were doing and why there was other officers coming to that area.
Okay. So that would kind of not jive with the idea that nothing was going on in the restaurant, though. So, Mr. Barros, can you address that?
There might have been other officers that might be in the restaurant, that might have been at the restaurant, that might have alerted officials, but there was no incident at all inside the restaurant, no altercation, nothing at all inside the restaurant that would have indicated to us that there was a there was something about to happen to us, that, you know, we're not if there's no fight or any altercation inside the restaurant, we wouldn't know anything is about to happen outside.
All right, and then Officer Moran again. It's, the way I'm reading it is, a large number of patrons came out of the back door. Is that correct?
Yeah, so where that vehicle was parked, where the suspect was it was the car that was closest parked to the rear door of the restaurant. So we were only about roughly 20 to 25 feet from the door of the restaurant.
Okay, and
And
so
where the patrons were all exiting.
and how were they exiting? Were they? Is this a group of people that know a fight's about to be happening?
I would believe so, yes, because it was a large group began exiting, and that's when everyone became confrontational.
So it seemed like everyone who was exiting to engage in this fight.
I wouldn't say everyone was engaged in the fight, but everyone, the way they were exiting kind of just made a big crowd where the people started arguing back and forth. That's why we called on the radio for backup, because we didn't know how many people were about to engage in this fight.
Okay. And does anyone know whether the individual that you first observed, Officer Moran, sorry, was he a patron, or was he like a third party who was engaging somehow with someone who was in the restaurant?
No, so we saw him exit the restaurant from the front door, and that's when we heard him screaming on the phone. Kind of sounded like he was looking for someone, because he was saying, "Where you at? Where you at?" And that's when he immediately walked to the left side of the restaurant into the parking lot to the rear, where me and my partner were just observing his movements and just followed him.
Okay. I think that's all I have at the moment. Thank you.
Just to, if someone can just talk about the safety of the parking lot itself. So not the municipal one, but the one that's actually adjacent to the restaurant. Is it well lit? Are there cameras?
It is lit. There's around the restaurant, there's lights that points to the parking lot, and there are cameras around the back as well.
So did any camera capture what happened?
I'm not sure if the officers retrieved any data from the camera, but it saves it for about 2.5 weeks. If there was nothing retrieved, I don't believe we have any images.
And is there any video inside that you managed to keep, even though you say there's may have been nothing that happened in the restaurant, but anything preserved from that day?
No, if it wasn't retrieved by the officers, it wouldn't have been preserved.
Chairman Joyce, any further questions?
I don't, thank you.
Okay,
I just want to be sure. Is there any video? Was any video gotten by the Boston Police?
So, sir, in this case here, the gentleman was arrested on scene, Mr. Lopes. I had in my, at least the follow-on stuff that I was assigned, I had no reason to believe anything. There's nothing much. Watching the officer's body-worn cameras, etc., captures everything that is on my end as far as the criminal violations. All the officers on scene, the body-worn cameras capture everything respectively. So I had no reason to believe that anything took place inside of the restaurant from the reports and the follow-on with the body-worn cameras. That's kind of where we're at. I know I didn't recover anything from inside the restaurant or the exterior cameras from the parking lot, due to the fact everything I needed was on the officer's body-worn cameras.
Thank you.
thank you. Anything further from the board at this time? Board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 2, the K's Inc. doing business as Sissy K's located at 6 Commercial Street. Dated the incident July 12th, 2022, assault and battery patron on patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Upton for the licensee, and with me is Bill Johnson representing the owner and Brittany Anderson, the general manager.
Great, thank you. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Donald Whiteman.
Officer Christopher Rooney.
Thank you. And are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Nope.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Sergeant Whiteman, if you could please proceed with the police report.
Yes, sir. This is from Boston Police Incident Report 222-051-820. It was reported at on July 12th, 2022 at 2:40 in the morning. About 12:59 a.m. on Tuesday, 7/12/22, Officer Entwistle and Rooney in the Alpha 102 Alpha responded to a radio call for a report of a fight in progress at Sissy K's Bar, which is at 6 Commercial Street downtown. Operations advised that the caller reported there was a large group fighting on the 2nd floor. Upon arrival, there was no fight in progress. According to the bouncers, they cleared out the people fighting. As there was no active fight inside the bar, the officers went to locate the involved parties outside. Officers met with the victim, Mare, who was with her boyfriend, O'Dwyer. Mare stated that the fight had broken up moments ago and she did not know who was involved. The victim stated that she was with her boyfriend when another Irish male went up to hit on her. The victim stated that she declined the suspect's advances. According to the victim, the suspect became aggressive when he was turned down. The victim stated she was punched in the chest by the male suspect. Officers observed some redness on the victim's chest near her left collarbone. The victim stated she was fine. She declined EMS and repeatedly stated she did not want to press charges. The victim's boyfriend stated that he defended his girlfriend and fought the unknown male who punched the victim. Both parties stated a brief fight occurred on the 2nd floor with several unknown males. There was no injuries on the boyfriend. The victim stated that the suspect was described as a white Irish male, approximately 5 feet 6 inches tall, wearing a blue shirt. The suspect had black hair. The victim did not remember any other details. All parties were intoxicated. On Monday and Tuesday nights in the summer, Sissy K's Bar hosts a large crowd of young Irish people. The venue has been drawing large crowds for the Irish football celebrations. I responded to the scene to conduct a code 35 license premise violation, which was number 061082. The officers remained on scene for at least 2 more hours to clear crowds and prevent further altercations. This was all recorded on body worn camera.
Thank you, Sergeant. Attorney Upton, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, thank you. Sergeant, was the staff of the licensed premises cooperative?
Yes, they were.
And you said the victim denied medical assistance
That's correct.
and the victim did not want to press any charges?
That's correct, sir.
All right. That's all I have for the sergeant. It's our position that this was a very quick and immediate situation. It was not a foreseeable event. We had a very quick and professional response with staff and the call to the police. I think the board may benefit from a bit of testimony from the general manager who was on scene, if that's all right.
Yes, please.
Brittany, can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you.
Excellent. Were you on duty the night of the incident?
I was.
What is your title?
I'm one of the bar managers.
How do you know what happened?
So I'm on a radio system with the security staff.
Okay, so what did happen that you heard?
There was a call for an argument on the 2nd floor and security had went up to handle it.
How long did it take for security to get there?
It was about 2 to 3 minutes, if that.
Who called the police?
Thomas Woodward did. He's my security manager.
Okay. Did security move all parties outside before the police came?
Correct.
All right. What happened outside?
Nothing. Police reports.
All right. Did you offer medical assistance to the victim?
Yes, that's our protocol. We always ask them if they need any medical assistance.
Okay, did she accept?
No.
Okay. What have you done since this incident to prevent something like this from happening again?
So I've worked here for like 10 years and I've never seen a guy hit a girl for hitting on her and turning her down. But we talked to all the bar staff, the security, and asked them to pay attention to young women that are by themselves or receiving any sexual harassment or any attention that they don't want. And then we just follow through with them getting in Ubers outside and making sure that they're with people that they know.
All right. Thank you very much. Attorney Green, that's all we have. I would like to just point out that despite the reference in the police report, there were no capacity issues. There were no allegations of service to underage people. There were no citations for any issues of capacity, underage, or intoxication. And it is correct that they do have a crowd of Irish people come to watch the football games, but they are asked for ID just like anyone else. And if they don't have a mass driver's license, they're asked for a passport, which is one of the legal forms of identification in Massachusetts. With that, we're glad to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Chairman Joyce, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Danny. I don't have any questions at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Carmen, Commissioner Saxon.
I do not. Thank you.
None from me, thank you.
Thank you very much. The board will take this matter under advisement.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Now calling, hang on just a moment. We could always remain on mute unless or until you are appearing before the board. Calling item number 3, Park Avenue Group, Inc., doing business as Cabin Cafe Cabin House, located at 1406 to 1408 Hyde Park Ave in Hyde Park. Date of the incident, June 23rd, 2022. Assault and battery with a dangerous weapon and knife in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 15A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Nancy Pisani and Ralph Corrado.
Thank you. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Michael Sullivan.
Police Officer Patrick Layden.
Thank you. And are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
No.
Thank you. And Sergeant and Officer, would it be possible to have your camera on so we can swear you in?
Sure.
Thank you. Great. Thank you very much. Can you all please raise your right hand?
Raise your right hand.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you. And great, Mr. Bush, could you just identify yourself?
I'm the victim of the incident that happened on June 23rd, the night of my wedding.
Okay, great. And you intend on testifying this morning?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. You've all been sworn in. Sergeant Sullivan, could you please proceed with the police report?
Yeah, I'll read this verbatim. At about 11:45 p.m. on June 23rd, 2022, Officer Layden and Detective Dever, the Lima 202 Alpha, responded to a radio call for a person stabbed at 1406 Hyde Park Ave, Hyde Park. On arrival, officers observed 2 males, both stabbed in the leg area. Both victims' injuries appear to be non-life threatening at this time. Victim number 1, Mr. Anthony Bush, had a stab wound to his right thigh area. Victim stated he did not know the person that stabbed him. Boston EMS ambulance A18 responded and transported Mr. Bush to Brigham and Women's Hospital for further medical treatment. The Lima 412 Alpha Borby, Officer Borby, followed Mr. Bush to the hospital. Officer Borby collected victims' clothes and delivered them to E18 Detectives Unit, Detective Dever. Victim number 2, Mr. Michael Sherrod, had a stab wound to his left thigh area. Victim appeared to be very intoxicated. Victim also stated that he did not know the person who stabbed him. Ambulance EMS A3 responded and transported victim to Beth Israel Hospital for further medical evaluation. Due to the victim's aggressive, intoxicated behavior, the Lima 421 Nguyen accompanied EMS to the hospital. The Lima 412 Alpha Vallard, Officer Vallard, followed the ambulance to the hospital. Victim number 2 refused to allow Officer Vallard to take custody of his clothing. Beth Israel Public Safety Sergeant Kevin Bodo took custody of the victim's clothes. Both the victims were located in the Cavern Cafe's parking lot. Sergeant Sullivan entered the Cavern Cafe and spoke to the bartender, Ms. Nancy Pizan. Ms. Pizan stated both victims were in the bar prior to the incident, but she was unaware of what happened in the parking lot. Sergeant Sullivan also spoke to Miss Kendra Curtis, off-duty employee. Ms. Curtis also stated both men were in the bar prior, but everything seemed fine when they left. Sergeant Sullivan issued Cavern Cafe a license premise violation number 042002 for assault and battery, dangerous weapon, knife. Detective Dever photographed the crime scene. Officers observed cameras on the side of the Cavern Cafe's building facing the parking lot. The following units also responded: the Lima 905, Sergeant Sullivan; Lima 906, Sergeant Monahan; Lima 412, P.O. Borby; Lima 421, P.O. Vallard; and the Lima 422, P.O. Nguyen. That's it, sir.
Great, thank you very much, Sergeant. Would the licensee like to address the alleged incident? Oh, you're on mute right now. Hang on a moment. I'm gonna ask you to unmute.
All right, there you go.
Okay,
There we go.
hi, I was the bartender on duty. My name is Nancy Pisani. We were unaware of anything that went on in the parking lot until a customer had called me and told me there was a scuffle going on in the parking lot. I exited the bar through the rear door and went over to the gentleman standing in between the vehicles over there. And one of them was on the phone with the police. I took his phone to talk to the police and tell him the correct address of where we were located at, because he didn't know where we were located at. They had been in the bar prior to it, but they only had the one drinks that they left on the table. And I thought they had gone outside to smoke a cigarette, so I didn't think nothing of to watching them on the camera. And I knew nothing until I watched the camera system myself about what went on in the parking lot.
Thank you. Is there anything further you would like to add? Okay.
You do have our video camera system.
Okay, have there any videos that have been provided to the police or to the board?
Yes, we took video camera, gave it to the police, and then they came in and took more footage of the camera system.
Thank you. Before I turn to the board, I'll just ask Mr. Bush if there's anything you would like to add for the board's consideration today.
Yes, I just couldn't understand how I could go somewhere for the first time and end up in the hospital on the day of my wedding. That like amazes me. I only had one drink at that bar. It was my first time there. I never finished the whole drink. And when I walked out of that place, someone just walked up on me. As soon as I turned around, they just stabbed me. And it's perplexing right now. I haven't been back to work since that day. And any day now, I'm going in for another operation because of this incident.
Thank you, Mr. Bush. We're very sorry to hear that. Anything else you'd like to add for the board, or can we move to questions?
That's it.
Thank you very much. Chairman Trace, do you have any questions?
I have a few questions. In the police report, Mr. Bush, it says that you are a friend of the other victim.
Yes.
So describe for me what happened.
I don't know. Well, I just got married, like I said earlier that day. So my friends was like, "Oh, you want to go out and have a drink?" I was like, "Yeah, why not?" We ends up at this bar. One of my friends was playing pool. Me and my other friend was sitting at the table. I had one drink and a Corona beer. I did not even finish. And I realized one of my friends was intoxicated. I was like, listen, I'm ready to go. Because he was driving. I wasn't driving at the time. And that's when we left. And once we got to the parking lot, someone walked up talking about murder. And I turned around and that's when someone just stabbed me in the leg and I fell instantly to the ground.
Okay, and Ms. Kendra Curtis, who is an off-duty employee, was she part of your group that night?
No,
But do you know her?
no.
Okay. All right, so my question is for Ms. Pisani. So what happened? You said nothing happened inside when you reviewed the camera footage. Tell us what happened.
So as I watched the camera, I noticed that they were sitting up against the wall that on a small table next to the pool table. One of their friends was playing pool. No arguments involved in the bar. Nobody was fighting with each other. They were actually talking with other customers. And then they left and went outside and their drinks were still on the table. So I didn't touch their drinks. I just left them there because they had gone to the parking lot and I thought they went to go smoke. But they were out in the parking lot for quite some time. In the back of the parking lot, way in the corner, next to their truck and somebody else's car. Don't know what they were doing over there, but they were over there for quite some time. And the next thing, everybody was having a nice time in the bar. The next thing, another customer had called me on the bar phone and said to me, Nancy, go outside in the parking lot. There's a scuffle going on in the parking lot. I proceeded outside and that's when I noticed they were very far in the back part of the parking lot. Like the camera system kind of goes over there. You can kind of see a little bit of it, but it's really dark over there. So I just walked up on them and I took the other gentleman's, not that gentleman, the other big gentleman's phone, because he was trying to call the police and the fire department. I took his phone from him and gave them the correct address of where we were located at.
Thank you. Commissioner Curran, do you have any questions?
Do we have any idea whether the assailant was a patron?
This was the first time I've seen any of them in the bar. Oh, the other guy, with his friend, Anthony's friend, or the guy he's talking about?
Yeah, the third person.
Which third person?
One who stabbed him.
Isn't there's a stabber, right?
Oh, the person who they say did it, he did come in, he used to come into the bar. He'd come in occasionally, play pool. He was playing pool that night when they were there and he was talking with those gentlemen.
So he was in the bar and he followed them out.
He didn't follow them out. He was still playing a game of pool when they had already gone outside and been outside for a few, like maybe 5-10 minutes. They had already been in the back of the parking lot.
All right, and where's the parking lot in relationship to your front door?
You have to go out the front door, take a right, and then the parking lot is right there.
Is it kind of like across the street?
No, it's like directly right next to the bar. Like you have to go, like there's the bar, then there's A Street, which is a small little street, and then the parking lot is connected right there.
It's across the A Street.
Right.
Okay. And so the assailant, the guy who stabbed them, who left, how long did it take for him to leave?
Oh, I want to say approximately somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes.
Okay. Have the police tracked him down? Sorry.
Sorry, it's just Sergeant Sullivan again. I don't believe we tracked him down. This has been assigned to a detective. I kind of only have information on my initial response.
Yeah.
And that's all the information I have at this time, sir. Detective Dever might have some follow-up information. I know he interviewed both the victims. So, but as far as my end of it, I just responded that night for the person stabbed. So they didn't, no one was identified on scene as the person who did it.
Yeah.
Mr. Bush was cooperative. He gave us a description. The other suspect was not cooperative at that time. So that's all the information we had to go on at the time.
All right. I think that's all I have at this time. Thank you.
So do you remember talking to this gentleman inside the bar?
No. No. When we just left, we left the bar. We wasn't in the parking lot for 5 minutes. We was actually going straight to the car when this person came up. It wasn't 1 minute later. It was like the person must have came right out after us. And that's when the incident happened. And he was belligerent, started talking about somebody's gonna get murdered. And I turned around and I got poked.
Anything further from the board at this time? Okay, the board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Calling item number 4, Whiskey Town LLC, doing business as Quiet Few, located at 331 Sumner Street in East Boston. Date of the incident, June 16th, 2022. Over capacity in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.03 and 1.06A and F. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Kristen Scanlon representing the licensee, and signed on with us this morning is Josh Weinstein, who is the owner and manager of record of the Quiet Few.
Thank you very much. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective Eduardo Espino, assigned to A7.
Thank you, Detective. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Detective Espino, you may proceed with the police report, please.
Yes, sir. I'll be reading from police report number 222-044-488. On Thursday, June 16, 2022, at approximately 10:05 p.m., a Code 35 licensed premise inspection was completed at the Quiet Few located at 331 Sumner Street, East Boston. Present during the inspection were Sergeant Detective Blas and Detective Espino. At the time of inspection, the person in charge of the establishment was Josh Weinstein. At the conclusion of the inspection, Weinstein signed and accepted for license premise notice 022682. The violation noted the following: over capacity. The capacity was 49 and the actual count was 63. That is the end of my report, sir.
Thank you very much. Attorney Scanlon, would you like to address the incident?
Yes, please. Detective, that evening, were staff cooperative with you on your visit to the licensed premises?
Yes, very cooperative.
Thank you very much. This particular establishment, Madam Chair, members of the board, has a capacity of 49. This evening was Game 6 of the NBA Finals, according to Josh, and he can certainly reiterate. It was a busy night, full inside, plus the outdoor patio was in operation with approximately 25 to 30 people and 9 staff members, including Josh himself, plus 3 employees in the back of the house, 2 bartenders, a bar back, 1 patio server, and a doorman. By way of background and just for informational purposes, the business does utilize a doorman Thursday through Sunday nights and anticipated busier evenings such as this. This particular doorman has been with the business for 2.5 years and certainly understands the importance of keeping track of capacity for public safety reasons, as does ownership, and does not allow for entry beyond their posted limit. Josh certainly can testify to this as well, but he did speak with his doorman after the incident, who indicated that police never asked him for his count, and while he doesn't recall the precise number, again, it would not have been over 49. I know, and Josh can speak to this, he had a conversation with the police when they visited that evening regarding whether staff counts towards overall capacity, which he was under the impression they were not, which again, he had 9 staff on, including himself that night, and because of the existing staff exit through the kitchen in the rear of the premises. Again, outdoor patio was quite full as well. We aren't sure if some of those patrons were also counted by police by mistake, and some may have been permitted to come in to use the restroom, but given the licensee's understanding, previous understanding or confusion regarding whether staff counts towards overall capacity, even given the count of 63, the benefit of the doubt, The infraction would be de minimis minus the staff on duty that evening. This particular licensed premises has been in operation since April of 2019. And since that time, the record speaks for themselves. They've been an excellent operator, no violations to speak of, even when they have been visited on similar busy nights, never any violations. At this time, Josh, if there's anything you would like to add, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, we're both happy to answer any questions the board might have.
Yeah, I just want to add that the time of the violation 10:05 is right when the patio was closing. So it is a bit at 10 o'clock, everybody's off the patio. So I'm not sure what time the officers arrived, but it was a busy night. So I'm not sure. It was a busy patio night. I'm just not sure too how much commotion there was with people taking off, going to the bathroom before they take off, closing tabs, whatever it might be.
Thank you. Anything further, Attorney Scanlon?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Chairman Joyce, do you have any questions?
Can you remind me how many staff you said were on that night?
9.
9, correct, Josh?
Yep.
Okay, I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Commissioner Carr, Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
How many seats on the interior, how was it set up that evening?
I'm sorry, I missed the end of that.
That evening, how did you have it set up as far as seating?
For seating, we always have, should have 40 stools, 4 at 5 tables, 4 at a rail at the front window, and the remaining around the bar.
So 40 stools is all you're seated?
40 seats, yeah, 40 stools.
Okay, so if you're running like at high capacity and everyone's seated, the only extra you have is basically your 9 staff, right?
No, there's as far as, sorry, I'm asking again.
Capacity is 49, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're running 40 seats.
Yeah.
So you don't have a lot of standing room, correct?
There is standing room. There's a area at the front of the bar where I mentioned there's a rail. We have 4 stools there, but usually that's an area that people stand at.
Okay. But that you would need some empty seats in order to accommodate that, essentially.
Not necessarily.
All right, if you have 40 people in your seats, and
Yeah.
you have staff,
Right.
you don't have much room in your capacity to have people standing, correct?
Right. Again, I am under the impression that staff, with the exit in the back, staff does not count towards the capacity. So there would be room for 9 people standing, as I understood it.
What do you mean exit in the back?
We have a staff exit in the back of the bar through the kitchen. So there's 2 exits.
And that changes your capacity?
Commissioner Kern and Josh, if I can jump in, I think that's what I was trying to explain in the beginning. There's definitely some confusion based on some prior professionals when Josh first opened the premises as to whether or not staff were included in the total count for the overall capacity. Josh was under the impression they were not. He has since learned that they are, but he was operating under the fact that night that because of the exit in the back, because of the availability of that the back of the house, any back of the house staff did not count towards overall capacity. So that there was just some point of confusion there with that number of people.
Okay, and this is only regarding back of the house staff, like people in the kitchen who are staying in the kitchen. That's where the confusion, I want to be fair and see, is there a point of confusion here?
Right.
Okay, so what you had the 9 on, how many people were back of house, like only kitchen staff, and versus bartenders, security, and servers?
4.
4 were the back of the house, so it's 4 and 5.
Right, with the doorman, so technically.
And 1 person on the patio, so that's technically outside.
Right.
At any time operating, there's 2 bartenders inside and then a food runner.
Okay, well, just for the future, I would suggest, especially running the patio, and like you said, you have patrons who might be coming in to settle up tabs or go to the restroom, and you have to account for them coming in and out too.
Okay.
Because if they go inside, they're going to be part of the capacity. So,
Understood.
you know, I mean, all that, like you have to work in a buffer here. And I can see maybe there's some confusion about the 4, but it doesn't sound like you were even running it. You were, even if I were to discount the 4 kitchen staff in the back, it sounds like you're running over, especially at that time where you're closing the patio and people might be coming into the interior. So.
Well, I
that's
think
all.
there's also a discrepancy though as well of what the staff believes they had on their counter, which wouldn't have been over 49. So we don't know where the police were counting the additional people because frankly, they don't operate over capacity, but for, I guess, this staff confusion issue on whether or not they count towards that.
Yeah, but even then, he said that they would have 9 people over the 40. He just said it now, and you wouldn't have 9 people over the 40. You would have like 2 over the 40 if you're counting the front of house staff. So I'm just saying, you know, if the place is running at full capacity and everyone's in their seats, you really don't have much room for many extra patrons at all, if any.
Was everyone in seats that night, Josh? Seated, standing, were all seats?
No,
still
games
occupied?
going on. People were moving around. People were cheering on the team.
Okay.
Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 5, Cheesine Inc., doing business as Fromage, located at 399 to 401 West Broadway in South Boston. Date of the incident, July 15th, 2022. No outdoor dining approval in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. No ISD certificate in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Boards Rule 1.02b, and no entertainment license posted. Who is present on behalf of the licensee? Oh, Tatiana, I believe you are on mute right now. Hang on one second. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Unmute. All right, beautiful. Tatiana Sukanik.
Thank you very much. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department? Detective Hernandez, thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Detective William Gallagher, if need be.
Thank you very much, Sergeant. And can you all please, Sergeant Gallagher, is it possible to put your camera on for a moment so we can swear you in?
Sorry about that. Yep.
Not a problem. Can you all please raise your right hand? Tatiana, if you could also please raise your right hand. Thank you very much. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Detective Hernandez, you may please proceed with the police report. Oh, you are muted right now.
Sorry about that. I'll be reading off the police report, which Sergeant Gallagher wrote on 7/15/2022 at about 6:35 p.m. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher assigned to licensed premise unit conducted licensed premise inspection of Fromage at 399 West Broadway. As Sergeant Detective entered the premise, he observed tables and chairs set up on the public sidewalk. Sergeant Detective also observed patrons utilizing this space for dining. Once inside, Sergeant Detective Gallagher met the owner of the premise, Ms. Tatiana Sukanik. On inspection of the premise license, Sergeant Detective Gallagher observed an expired inspectional service certificate having expired back in January of 2021. No posted City of Boston entertainment license or outdoor dining approval form. These issues were brought to the attention of Ms. Sukanik. Ms. Sukanik was unable to produce the current licenses for those issues, but stated she would rectify them as soon as possible. As a result of what was observed, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued a license premise inspection notice 932 de Fromage for no outdoor dining approval, no post and entertainment license or current ISD certificate. Ms. Tatiana Sukenik signed for and accepted the notice. That's all.
Thank you. Ms. Zukenik, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, so when the officer arrived, yes, I was working in the kitchen and unfortunately I was caught off guard and ICD certificate I did have, I just couldn't find it. So next day when he showed up again, I think it was the next day or following day, and I showed it to him, 2022, July, dated July, but it was just a few days expired. So I was working on a new one and I updated that. So every license is updated, every certificate is updated by now, even outdoor dining. And at that time I was open just a few days a week because my mother passed away in Ukraine and my friend passed away and it was a war in Ukraine. And one of the most important employee issues. So and unfortunately, I apologize. I was so disorganized and it was not displayed, like licenses were not displayed on the wall. I think I had too much in my hand. But now everything is organized. I have all licenses, everything is updated. Yeah, outdoor license I got, entertainment license, and inspectional certificate is updated and already there. I apologize for that.
Okay. I just want to state for the record, I think you approved the outdoor dining in October of a couple days ago. And I just would like to call out my staff who went above and beyond to help you get everything in line. And we kept using your outdoor space without permission from the board repeatedly. And I believe we were scheduled to have you here before us once before you didn't show up for that hearing. So I want to make sure you understand all the rules and regulations of this board.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I didn't show up for that meeting because when I talked to Christopher Rockwell, I believe, and he said, don't worry, because the reason is I did send an application, I think it was May 15th, if I'm not mistaken. And then I showed this to officer when he arrived, he followed up the second day or third day, I don't remember. And when I talked to Christopher, he said, I can't find it, but later they did found it. It was some kind of lost. I have no idea. And he said, you need to update some more information because there's new regulation. And so that's what I did. And I was kind of like trying to tell him, yes, I did send it on May 15th. I did send it. I have it. And unfortunately, I couldn't find it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm really, really sorry about that.
You can see all the email traffic between our staff.
Yeah.
Going back months and months and months.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I was so disorganized. Just like really tough right now, unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay. I don't have any questions. Commissioner Curran, Commissioner Sacks.
Commissioner Sacks, any questions? Okay, thank you very much. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6 has been continued at the request of the licensee and will be rescheduled to the next available hearing date. Calling item number 7, Fuji at Ink Block Inc., doing business as Fuji at Ink Block, located at 352B Harrison Ave in Roxbury. Date of the incident, September 8th, 2022. Blocked fire exit, serving cart chair in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.06A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
My name is Tony Lang. I'm one of the owners.
Thank you. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Check William Gallagher.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Detective Hernandez if needed.
Thank you very much. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Sergeant Detective Gallagher, you may please proceed with the police report.
Yes, good morning. On 9/8/2022, 10:40 p.m., Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to the licensed premise unit, conducted a licensed premise inspection of Fuji at Ink Block 350 Harrison Avenue. Inside the premise, detectives observed the side fire exit to be blocked by a table set up in the inside with patrons' chair blocking the exit, and a serving table on the outside. This was brought to the attention of the person in charge, Haga Hu, who took immediate corrective action. As a result, detectives had observed Sergeant Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice number 059730 to Fuji for the blocked fire exit. Mr. Hu signed for and accepted the notice. My last page of the report does have a picture that Detective Hernandez did take. This is from the outside on the patio, looking to the inside, and shows a serving cart that was blocking the egress from the inside, and also the table and chair set up. We've been back since then, and situation has been rectified.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lang, would you like to address the incident?
I just want to apologize for what had happened. The cart usually is not in that spot. I think they had moved the tables around to accommodate a bigger party outside, and they did not move the cart back. That's usually the spot that it's currently in, is the permanent spot for it. And then as far as the inside tables, we did move it to a different area so that there is a nice passageway. And just apologize for the inconvenience.
Thank you very much. Move to the board to see if there are any questions, starting with Chairwoman Joyce.
Thank you. I have no questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Curran
No questions. Thank you.
and Commissioner Saxon.
None for me, thank you.
Thank you very much. The board will take this matter under advisement as well.
Thank you.
Those are all of the items before the board this morning. That will conclude this morning's hearing. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.